And thank you for staying with us. SHARE is a not-for-profit organization making a big impact in the lives of underserved women who are diagnosed with several types of cancer. Their mission? To connect these women with the unique support system of survivors and peers, creating a community where no one is faced to deal with the disease alone. Here now to share a little bit more about the services in the organization and answering some questions about how the organization is responding to COVID-19 pandemic. We're pleased to be joined by the Chief Diversity Officer of SHARE, Ivis Febus-Sampayo. And thank you so much for being with us, Ivis.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you for inviting us to speak about our wonderful organization today. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. No, and thank you for the work that you do. I'll start off by saying that the work that you do is very personal because you got a personal story yourself about cancer.
Yes, Darren. 27 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was a young woman in the prime of my life, and I was actually misdiagnosed for 18 months. I had been complaining to my OBGYN since the moment I had given birth to my youngest son, Ian. And he just kept saying, oh, it's nothing, don't worry, you don't have a family history, you're a young woman, you exercise, you're fine. My son was not sleeping, I was nursing him. But after about a year, when I finally weaned him, I started to sleep. And I started to realize, wait a minute, this is taking too long. Every time I go back to him, I keep hearing this. So finally, I made another appointment and said to him, you know, the same thing, this is my story, this is what I'm feeling. And he started with the same conversation. It's okay, you're young. And I just said, stop right there. You are going to have to do a clinical breast exam and make sure that there's nothing wrong. I don't think there is, but my gut instinct is telling me something's not right. Long story short, I was then diagnosed with breast cancer at a very young age. I was only 38 years old. My two boys, Christopher and Ian, were 10 and 2 years of age. And it was quite difficult. I went through chemotherapy. I went through surgery. I had hormonal treatment. I had radiation. And I kept seeing older women, not women that looked like me, that were my age, in the chemo suite. So I realized that I needed to use my story to help others. I was raised by a wonderful mother in the Spanish Harlem area of New York City who taught us that when you cut, everyone bleeds the same color. Mm-hmm. And I've taken that to heart. I realized that I wanted to be able to help as many women as I could, not only using my story, but educating myself to become a better advocate.
Yeah.
I joined SHARE almost 25 years ago, and they hired me as the first Latina SHARE director. What happened then was the Latina SHARE program was pretty new. We had 2 support groups, a small helpline, and only 1 education program per year. Now, keep in mind that things have increased, things have changed, and throughout the years, I built along with my staff and my advisory committee as it grew to grow the Latina SHARE program. And then about 9 years ago, I handed it off to 2 women who had used our services, who had come through the support group, through the helpline, who volunteered. Then I hired them to become survivor patient navigators at 2 hospitals that see a lot of underserved community members.
Right. Let me jump in. I just want to jump in real quick and ask a question about that, because when you talk about, you know, handing the baton off a little bit, you hand the baton off, and of course, you know, you talk about being that first Latina. Talk to me about those healthcare disparities when it comes to breast cancer and cancer itself.
Excuse me. Yes. Well, that was the thing. There wasn't very much in 1996 when I started with SHARE. Now, thank God, it's grown exponentially, not just within the organization, but also nationwide. Some of the disparities that have occurred for years is that the Black women, and I can give you some of the statistics, sorry, chemo brain doesn't allow me to memorize it, but according to the American Cancer Society, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer, about 252,000 or more per year, with an estimate of 40,000 dying of breast cancer. Now, the rates in white women are about 130.8 per 100,000 women, And from that, a mortality rate of 20%. For Blacks, 126.7, with 28.4% women dying of breast cancer. And for Latinas, about 93.8 get diagnosed annually, with 14% dying.
Wow.
The numbers don't meet. We see that more Black women are being diagnosed at a younger age. And although their rates are a little lower or close to white women, what's happening is more of them are dying. 40% more Black women are dying of breast cancer. And this is why, as I said, we all bleed the same. When I got the opportunity to become the Senior Director of Programs, my first mandate was I want to go and build an advisory committee of Black women who are survivors, who care about the community, who want to reach out to the community and educate it. And I was blessed with 3 wonderful women. One, unfortunately, since then has passed away. But the point being that we started to grow that program so that women in the community could see somebody who looked like them, who cared, who had the knowledge, and who could educate them about breast cancer, not only the rates, but also the lives that it touches and the importance of becoming your own self-advocate. And I know there's always been issues related to the medical system, and rightfully so, but we need to advocate for ourselves. And that is one of the key things we teach with our AfroShare community outreach program.
Give me some insight into someone right now who might be dealing with cancer, because you don't just deal with breast cancer, you deal with several forms of cancer.
Right.
So if there's someone out there that's watching and saying, listen, I may need some peer assistance, I may need some help in navigating this, talk about the different types of cancer that you deal with and what's available to New York City residents.
Okay, so perfect. What we have is Share started with breast, and then 25 years ago, they started with ovarian cancer. They just celebrated the 25th anniversary. And then this year in 2020, we started our uterine cancer program. And the reason why we started the uterine cancer program is because more women, more Black women, are dealing with endometrial cancer and dying of it. So it is important to learn the facts. They can reach out to Share anytime. We have our helpline that is in English, Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese. And we also, if you speak, let's say, Yiddish or French or Greek, you can have someone call the English, and then we'll have a volunteer that speaks that language who's a peer and been trained, call them back. But we have our helpline, which is 844-275-7427. It's 844-ASK-SHARE. And you can go onto our website, www.sharecancersupport.org. There are various tools that you can use. There is information about all 3 cancers. There's information about our support groups. In New York State, we have support groups in English and in Spanish. We have some that are focusing on the Black community. We had 2 in place at Harlem, 1 in Brooklyn, and we just started the uterine cancer. But came 2020, COVID came to the world. So Share was just amazing. We're filled with passionate women. 50% of the staff are peers. We've had breast, ovarian, or uterine cancer. And those that haven't are just as passionate and they want to help. So what we did is we quickly turned on a dime and we went virtual. So we started with telephone groups, then we went on to Zoom. The Latina Share program noticed quickly that women who came especially from Central and South America were using WhatsApp. So that's where we're having the support groups and a lot of phone calls. So many women, especially from the underserved communities, as you will know, not only are they dying, but their family members are dying. And this is a lot of stress. You're dealing with breast cancer, and then now you're also dealing with grief and loss.
Yeah. Well, Ivis, I want to tell you, thank you so much for sharing with us here on Open about the great work that you do. And I want to let people know that there's a way that you can tap in and be connected. But Ivis, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having. And I'll tell you, it's not me, it's the team. We work because we're passionate and we really care. We've been in those shoes.
Yeah. Well, certainly from being in the shoes to now being a peer supporter and doing great work. Ivis, thank you so much for being with us. Now, I do want to tell our viewers, if you do want more information, what you can do is go to the website, sharecancersupport.org. Once again, sharecancersupport.org.